Hello again. Here we are to talk about JavaScript and visualizing the Titanic dataset. In the last video, we created a div for every passenger and we kind of styled those divs. Let's go through some of the problems and try and solve a couple more. So far we did this one here. We changed the size. We changed the number of columns. We showed the gender by setting the border radius. We haven't done the opacity yet, so let's try that one, right? So that's the survivors. And then let's try the port of embarkation, right? So first of all, for the survivors, we can use the same method that we used here, right? So we can say, we can use the opacity property, right? So we can say passenger.style.opacity equals data bracket I dot fields dot, I think it's survived is the property, right? And then the value that they give us is either yes or no. So if survived is yes, we'll set the opacity to 1.0, and if survived is no, we can set the opacity to 0.5. Okay, so that doesn't look too bad. So that's pretty good. We can see like a lot of people did not survive and some people survived, right? So that's pretty good. We solved most of the problems here. Let's try and solve this one now. So the problem here is we have three possible values, right? And with the last situation, we just had two values, so it was easy to use the ternary operator. But here we have three possible values, so what are we going to do? And let me throw another one in there. There's a couple passengers where we don't know where they embarked from. So there's actually a fourth value here, which is undefined, right? Okay, so we'll have to deal with that too. So let's give it a try. So you could use an if-else statement. You could use a switch case. And you could also use an object. Since these values here are strings, we can use them as keys on an object to get the value. So I'm going to use that third idea there because it's kind of fun. So let's define a variable here called port color, and I'll create an object and I'll set a key. And again, the port names, the strings are uppercase, so this should match, right? So I'm going to make that uppercase, and then the value here will be the color of that port. So I'm going to say tomato as the color. And then the next port is going to be C, and we'll set the color as corn, flower blue. Okay, and then the last one is, we're going to deal with undefined also, but let's do this one first, right? So the last one is Queenstown, and the color is, let's do orange. I think I did gold before, but I'm going to do orange this time. So I've got an object now that contains the colors that I want, and I can try and match it up from the value from our data, right? I can match the key to the value, right? So we'll say passenger.style.background, color equals port color bracket, and then in here, like, if I put the value of the port, you can see everybody is tomato now, or if I put Q in there, everybody's going to be orange, or if I put C, everybody's going to be blue. But what I want to do is I want to get this value from the data. So what we'll do is we'll say data bracket I dot fields dot embarked, right? Oh, there we go, right? So everybody is embarked now. Actually, I guess I set the color here to black, so you can see that these two passengers, they must be undefined for the port color. Let's actually take that one out and see what happens. So if I do that, you'll notice like these two people disappear because they don't get a background color. So maybe we'll do this. Actually, undefined, the funny thing is it also works here. So I'm going to say undefined, And then you can put any color here. Maybe I'll do black as the color, right? Or you could do some other color there, right? Green or something, right? I guess that's kind of off the screen. Sorry about that. There we go, right? Let me close this up. Yeah, so there we'll do undefined, right? So actually, you know, when I get undefined here, it'll translate to a key, right? It'll just be kind of like the string undefined, and it'll try and match it up here. So that actually works for us. Okay, cool. So that's looking pretty good, and we solved all the basic problems here. But let's talk about looking at the data. So this looks pretty good, and I can see most people got on at Southampton. Then probably most people got on at the second choices is Chatham or Cartham. I forget what the name of the seaport is, right? And then fewer people got on at Queenstown, right? Okay, so you know, it's hard to tell though, like if more male passengers survive than female passengers, and it's hard to tell, like, you know, some of the things that the data is showing us because the data isn't sorted, right? So let's talk about sorting the data also, because that'll help us, you know, figure out what to show, right? And actually, just before we even do that, let's do one more thing here. So let's talk about what we're showing here. So if I go to the Readme, let's think for a minute. So you know, your goal is to show as much of the Titanic data in your graphic as you can. And so far, we're showing how many passengers. So I got the whole, you know, list of passengers there. How many survived? So like I can see the transparent ones, 50% transparent ones. I know that they did not survive. You know, I can tell which ones, or I can tell which ones survive because they're not transparent, right? I can see the men and the women. I can see where they embarked from. I can't tell which passenger class people used, right? So that's something that's missing here. And I can't tell how much people paid yet. So, you know, that's kind of to your creative, you know, ideas there, like how to display that. And also you might make a whole nother graph. So you could make like another set of boxes to display these things, right? You might make a row of boxes and set the height equal to, you know, the fare that they paid or something like that, okay? Um, okay, so anyway, so there's still some more data to show. And the way the data is here, if it's not sorted, it's hard to understand what we're seeing, okay? So let's do a quick sort example. And I'm going to go back here, and what we're going to do is we're going to sort the data, right? So this can be sorted. We don't have to sort the passengers, okay? Because, you know, if the first, whatever passengers in data is first is going to be here, right? So, you know, the divs don't matter. It's what's in data, right? Sort is an array method. It's similar to map, filter, and reduce, but it's also different. Map, filter, and reduce all return a new array. Sort does not return a new array. Instead, it mutates the existing array. So if we call sort, it's going to change this data here. So if something else relies on the order that this was in, we'd want to copy it first before we sorted. Okay, so let's sort, and we'll need to sort before we assign styles to all of the divs, right? Because if we assign the styles first, it'll use the unsorted, you know, information before we and it won't change automatically when we sort, right? So let's sort first. So we'll say data.sort, and we can just say sort. It doesn't return anything, so, you know, right, different from map, filter, and reduce. And sort, like map, filter, and reduce, takes a function here, a sorting function, okay? Sort will sort numbers and strings. Actually, it'll sort numbers alphabetically, right? Which is a little weird, but basically it's made for sorting strings. So without the sort function, you'll get an alphabetical sort. That doesn't work on objects though, so we'll have to include a sorting function, okay? The sorting callback takes two parameters. It takes an A and a B. And what A and B are, these two parameters are two items from your source array, right? So A is one of the items in data, and B is the other item, another item in data. And we don't know which, right? It could be like this little orange circle right there, and it could be this little red square over here. Like, we don't know, right? But what we're going to do is, or what sort is going to do, the sorting function, right, that you pass in here, right, it's going to return a number less than 1 if A comes before B. Okay? If it returns 0, then A and B stay in the same place. Okay? And if it returns a number greater than 1, then B comes before A. Okay, so they basically change places. Or maybe not, right? Actually, it's hard to say, but we're just saying, like, I shouldn't say they change places because we don't know where the items came from, right? So sort is just going to work through here however it does it. When we don't know how it works, right, internally, like they don't tell us, right? They just tell us, like, hey, you get a sorting function. I'm going to give you A and B, 2 items from your information, your array, and you're going to tell me if A comes before B, if A and B should not change places, or if B should come before A. Okay, so how can we do that? Let's try it with, let's sort the survived and casualties, survivors and casualties, right? So what we'll do is we'll make an if statement here, and we can say a dot fields dot survived, right? Okay, so if this passenger survived, then what we're going to do is we're going to say, or actually we have to say equals yes, right? Then we'll return -1, okay? Otherwise, we'll return +1, okay? So there we go. I got all my survivors first. Oh, hey, and these 2 passengers that we don't know the port survived. Lucky them, right? And then these are all the passengers that did not survive. And looking at this, we can see actually, maybe, not quite half, but a pretty good number of passengers actually survived, right? So let's try another one. So if we sort like this, let's see, what if we want to sort, and you can make a more complicated sorting function. Let's try sorting on gender also. So let's do data.sort. And what we'll do is we'll take in passenger A and passenger B. And what I want to do is I want to look at their gender. So I'm going to say, let's do A dot fields dot sex equals female. And if it's a female passenger, we'll sort it first. So we'll return -1. If it's a male passenger, we'll return a 1. Okay? Okay, so there we go. So now we can look and we can, actually, I guess let me flip these around. What if I make this one? There we go, right? So now we can see, all my female passengers are up here, and more female passengers survived than male passengers, right? I don't quite know how, well, we can work through this. I guess, like, it's going to be a little trickier to get these to sort first here in the second half. I guess to do that one, we'd have to do maybe a trickier sorting function right here, probably, right? But anyway, that got us started. I didn't actually use the B here. Let's give that a try just for fun. So let's actually sort them this time on the port of embarkation. I'm going to comment these 2 out for now, and we can uncomment these later, right? But now we're back to where we started. Let's try sorting on the port of embarkation. So I'd like to see, like, which ports people came from and how many people came from each port. So we're going to say data.sort. And in this case, the sorting function is going to be a little trickier. It's still going to give us passenger A and B, right? But what we need to do is we need to say, does passenger A come before B, right? And the embarkation is a string, right? So what we can do is we can say, hey, if, and we'll sort these alphabetically on C, Q, and S, right? Because those are the 3 ports, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say A.fields.embarked is less than B.fields.embarked. Okay, now these are strings, right? It's like Q, C, and S, but strings can be compared numerically because they all have a numeric value. So we can check and we can say like, hey, is this one less than the other one, right? Does it come before it in the alphabet? And if that's the case, we'll return -1, okay? Oh, actually, that just did the whole thing almost, right? And let's see, what if I say else if, and what I want to do here is say a.fields. Let's actually just copy this, right? So I'll paste this in here. And in this case, if B is great, if A is greater than B, then what we'll do is we'll return +1, okay? And if neither of these is the case, then they're both the same letter, in which case we don't want to, we don't want to change the order, so we'll return 0. There we go. So we can easily see that Southampton, like most of the passengers got on there. The fewest passengers got on Queenstown. I don't know why this one is not cooperating. Maybe I made a mistake. I think this looks pretty good though. But anyway, so I'm going to hold on that for now. I'll sort that out. I don't know why that one is not cooperating there. Could be that, you know what? It could be something weird with the ports because these two don't have a port, right? So it could be, yeah, I don't know what that one is with the 2 black ones, right? They don't have a port. We should put those last or put them in their own group, right? So what could we do here? What if we said, I guess like we got to decide if it comes before anything else. So maybe what if we said, yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure how to, because it's not alphabetical, right? Is undefined U, where does that come in? I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to worry about that for now. This generally gets it kind of working, right? But thanks for watching, and it's up to you now to come up with your own ideas for how you want to display the Titanic data. Actually, before I'm done, let me actually do one more thing. We can combine sort. You could combine this with or make this function a little more complicated, right? The other thing you can do is we can sort the data. We can sort it one way and then sort it again, right? So here I'm going to sort on survived, and then I'm going to sort on the embarked, right? So you can see in this case I've got all of the survivors and then the not survivors for that port, and then all the survivors and then the not survivors. And so this is kind of an interesting way to look at the data too, because we can see like how many people died and how many survived by port, right? So it looks like the Queenstowners were like survivors, right? They like a greater percentage of them survived than the people that perished, right? And we could also sort by gender also. So we could do this sorting first, right? So doing it this way, I can see like there's more women from Queenstown, survived than the men, and you know what I mean? I don't know. Anyway, so this is kind of an interesting way to arrange the data, right? I still don't know why these 3 are not cooperating. Okay, don't worry about that. We'll solve those, right? So anyway, yeah, and if you solve it, I'd love to hear your answer in the comments. Okay, and otherwise, thanks for watching.